for your leadership.
Yeah.
And then get involved. Don't be apathetic. And see how your leaders vote. That's the biggest problem I see. I'm one of the few RNC members that's been a state representative. I know how the system works. Most people elect somebody because they're a nice guy. And then once they get in office, they don't see how they vote. They don't watch how they vote. So consequently, they start voting a little liberal and you don't even know it. You don't care. So watch how your people vote. Hold them accountable. And if they go off the reservation, folks, primary them. Simply primary the guy. Get a good person. That's how you win. From grassroots up, you get a good candidate who you know is conservative. And then you run that person. And if he gets in, hold him accountable. Most people don't.
Yeah, good point.
So, what happened in Los Angeles just a few months ago? I got one of my resolutions passed. I took a lot of flack for it. But I got it passed nationally with 100% vote at the committee and 100% vote by all the individuals. It was a core resolution of the Republican Party. And what I tried to do is distinguish the difference between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. Now, I'm here to tell you, I'm a conservative first, Republican second, okay? I don't believe the Republican Party is... But I just want you to know that in that I wanted to show a contrast, because some people say there's not. There is. One of the first things on the core values was, we believe our rights come from God. Now the Democrat platform tried to take God out of their platform by a voice vote. It's actually louder to say yes to take it out, but the guy said no, it failed. But they tried to take God out of their platform. We're keeping God in our platform. Item 2, we believe in sanctity of life. The Democratic Party does not believe in sanctity of life. They believe in abortion. We believe in the Second Amendment because it precedes even the Constitution, your right to bear arms. What did the Democratic Party do? They're making it so expensive and they're trying to take your guns away. As a fighter pilot, as an airline pilot, probably some of you didn't know, even the airline pilots after 9/11 were carrying pistols. One lady asked me one day, well, they're rubber bullets, aren't they? I says, no, if you're sitting by the window, you're going through the window. But quite frankly, we have to have that right to bear arms. I've been in too many communist countries to know, you lose that right, you've lost your freedom. So, Second Amendment. Fourth thing that I took most of the flack over was we stand as a Republican Party for traditional marriage, not homosexual marriage. So what do the Democrats do? They're trying to push the homosexual agenda. Now that's going to cost you as a society. And I can tell you from my background working with the airlines, because we had a lot of them working in the airlines, what they want is health care benefits. That's why they're pushing Obamacare. They want that because they die 38 to 44 years old on average. They want those benefits. And the fifth thing, which is really big on my list, because I used to haul a lot of them from San Diego to Chicago, the Republican Party believes in legal immigration, but not illegal immigration. So let's talk about that if we could just a minute. In the state of Michigan in 2010, there was a study done by FAIR, Federation for American Immigration Reform. The state of Michigan alone spends $929 million on illegals for health care, education, welfare, jails, human services. Now let's talk about the amnesty program that it's trying to push. Sounds good, doesn't it? There's not 11.5 million illegals in the United States, folks. I'll bet you it's closer to 20 million. But the kicker with the amnesty program is, once they're in and they stay, and by the way, 60% of those roughly are from Mexico, they have an average of a third grade education. Now how does that help the average worker here? What jobs do they take? Does that raise your wages? Does it lower it? Do they end out on entitlement programs and so forth? That's going to hurt us. But they're going to get to take their relatives in as well. So they estimate in 10 years that could be an influx of people of close to 40 million more people. Folks, we're a country, a rule of law. This should not be. In 1985, they tried the same thing. They let the illegals come in. What did it do? It doubled our problem. They came in droves. This is not a good thing. And by the way, if they get in, you can bet how they're going to vote. They're going to vote who let them come in. You won't see a conservative in office for years to come. Let's talk about some of the issues. Illegal immigration obviously is a big issue for me. The homosexual agenda was an issue for me because I know it well. But let's talk about some stats. Did you know that 40% of Americans have less than $500 in their savings account? Did you know that? 1/4 of the jobs in Obama's America pay below the federal poverty line. Is that good? Is that something we want? Could that have something to do with amnesty? Could that have something to do with illegals? I think so. The IRS revealed that the cheapest health care insurance policy available under Obamacare is estimated to cost a family of five $20,000. So, talk to some doctors. Talk to your own doctors. If this passes, you're going to have doctors getting out of the profession. You're going to have millions more trying to get it. And your care is going to go down. You'll all have an insurance policy, but it'll be a lousy insurance policy. Anybody here been to a communist country? One? One? Where's the Air Force guy? Well, there's another guy that's the Air Force. You know what that looked like? How did that look?
I don't want no part of it.
You don't want any part of it. I don't either. Small businesses under Obamacare are already laying off people. Why? Because they want to get below that 30 hours. When they get down to that 29 hours, they don't have to pay it. So they just put it all on the federal government. Well, does the federal government have the money for Obamacare? No. This is a bait, hook, and switch, folks. They're going to get us to vote on this stuff. And then once it's in, we're going to have the bill. And I'm going to tell you this right now, and remember this. In 3 or 4 years, it's going to cost the state of Michigan $500 million out of your tax dollars. It's not going to be the federal government paying for it. So what is he doing? Through excessive law, through excessive regulations right now, Obama is killing the small businessman. Why is he after the small businessman? Because the typical small businessman who has to pay his bill, pay his taxes, is a capitalist. And he typically votes conservative. Obama wants to destroy that. They hire, small businesses are 80% of the people that are working for small businesses. Under the Obama plan, in my opinion, you will see the super rich, you'll see the poor. And he's going to gradually eliminate the middle class by design. Now, Obama's not stupid. He's a very devilishly smart person. And I think he's doing this on purpose. So watch what happens in the future. The GM bailout. Anybody own GM stock? I did. So what did he do to me? He basically stiffed me, the bondholder, and then he paid the union off for getting elected. He fired the CEO, and then he told them to build electric cars. How many of you here bought an electric car? The battery plant we had in Holland, Michigan, I voted against that. And it was going to create 300 jobs. How many did it create? About 3. And by the way, why didn't they produce the batteries? Because there was no demand for the batteries. By the way, what company was it that put the plant in? It was a Korean company. Now, what's the business of giving people breaks on foreign businesses? I don't get it. 49% of the people right now in the United States are on some sort of government benefit. Folks, it's unsustainable. It can't continue. The top 1% of earners pay 39% of all income tax. The top 20% pay 94.1% of all taxes. The bottom 60% pay nothing once you add in the credits that they get. So, in a sense, I'm really hammering on Obamacare, but Obamacare is going to dwarf the $6 trillion or $16 trillion debt that they say we have now. By the way, if you add in all the governments, state, and it's called the state governments, local governments, and all the state governments in the United States, it's estimated we have over a $200 trillion deficit, or debt. There's a difference between a deficit and a debt. Divide that by 310 million people, you'll see how much you owe the federal government. It's unsustainable. Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, all went down because the governments couldn't stop spending. You have to stop spending to pay those taxes, but the government continues to spend. The stock market goes up, people say. Things are good. Are they? What makes that stock market go up? $1 trillion a year printed in fake money? It used to be based on the gold standard. It's not anymore. So what you're going to have here, the stock market's going to go up, and suddenly we're going to have a dump. I personally believe by 2014, we're going to have another major stock market dump. It can't continue the way it is. It's an artificially high stock market. And by the way, the stock market goes up 17 times faster when Congress is not in session. 17 times. Imagine that. That's why I agree even in the state of Michigan. We need longer terms, but we need a part-time legislature. Get them out of there. If they're not there, they don't make them long. With all the debt, you can anticipate to have hyperinflation. What does that mean? If you're my age, I'm 64, there's some people that are older here, that means you think you've saved enough to support yourself. But when hyperinflation hits, that loaf of bread's $8. It's not $3.50. That gallon of gas is not $4. It's $10. So you buy less. It's going to really hurt the elderly in this country. The dollar's lost 80% of its purchasing power since 1971. Here's an interesting tidbit too. Russia and India have bought tons of gold. Why? Think about that. They're buying gold because they're not really trusting our currency. Our currency right now is the international currency. China wants that. Other countries want that. I'm not sure ours is going to survive if we keep spending the way it is. So what do I think you should do? I think if I were you, I'd buy a little gold, I'd buy a little silver, I'd definitely buy a few guns. I'd have those in my possession. And if you want to invest in some things, you know where this nation is going. We've got a lot of people my age that are going into rest homes and elderly. Buy real estate that's dealing with those kind of things, because that's going to get bigger and bigger. So those are some of the ideas, but I'm going to tell you right now that, and I could give you a host of facts that I picked up. And I'll just quickly run through this. If you got a pencil, write them down. But your goal should be, item 1, stay involved. Item 2, get the right person to run for office the first time. Item 3, if the person's not voting the way you want them to, primary the guy. And item 4, put your money, your mouth, and your feet where it counts. You can't just throw $100 in a pot and figure that's good enough. You got to go door to door. And you got to have knowledge to explain to people there's a difference between these two parties. Now, if you're a Tea Party group, and I'm a Tea Party guy myself, if you don't like the direction the Republican Party is moving, then move it to the right. When I ran for this, office, I ran and I said I wanted to move this party to the right because it's moved too far to the left because of compromise, and I want to get fiscal conservatives, moral conservatives, and constitutional conservatives elected into office. That's my goal. And by the way, people look at this and say, "Oh, this is a great job." No, it's not. This job for me pays nothing. Look on your table, you see one of my cards? I get nothing for this. They estimate I'm going to spend $125,000 in 4 years traveling around the state and the meetings I got to go to in Los Angeles, Charlotte, North Carolina, Boston, and so forth, just to do the job. I appreciate your support. I have 3 PACs. One of the PACs helps get conservatives, fiscal, moral, and constitutional conservatives elected in the state, federal, and one's for travel. I'd appreciate your help. Obama promised that the health care would eliminate $2,500 per family if his Obamacare got in. Presently, it's $3,065 more per family. The workforce participation rate for men is at the lowest point it's been since ever recorded in 1948. Think of that. A lot of people have just bailed out of the workforce. Obama's the highest spender in world history. Under Obama, your national debt increased 50%. Under Obama, the national debt now exceeds the entire output of the U.S. economy. In his first term, he racked up more debt than all the presidents from George Washington to Bill Clinton combined. Folks, it's unsustainable. It can't continue to go on. 53% of college graduates under the age of 25 are either unemployed or underemployed. Something's badly wrong here, folks. And a lot of those jobs, or I should say a lot of those people that are coming out of college, some of them have never had a job in their life. The jobs like I used to take, I used to work on a farm when I was 12 years old, are taken up by the illegals. Another case of, do you want to hire somebody that's got a college education? Yeah, he's a smart dude, but he's never worked. I want a guy with a work ethic that's going to do something for my company. What can I tell you here? More stats. 20% of American children are obese and prone to diabetes. As experts predict by 2020, 52% of adults will have diabetes or prediabetes. That's going to really help Obamacare. Over 11 million Americans are now on disability, and over half of those got on it under the Obama program. More votes are based on dependency on government, and 90% never get off once they get on that entitlement. 45% of the returning veterans are now claiming disability. That dwarfs all the records in history of any other warfare, in any other war. So, what am I going to tell you? What else can I tell you? I'd really like to take questions because that helps more than ever, but they don't want me to do that. But I know Gary Glenn's going to come up here and tell you some statistics and some things that are really near and dear to my heart. But I'd like to end with this. If you want to change things, do what you're doing here. But please don't bail out. And I'm not a lover of everything the Republican Party does. I'm not a lover of what just happened in Lansing when they voted for the Obamacare. I would have voted no. And by the way, I was voted the most conservative representative in the legislature. 100% conservative. So I'm just going to tell you, hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. But you got to do that. What you got to do to do that is you got to look and see how they vote. Pray to God, give you wisdom. Pray that He takes us out of this. Pray that we get another president. And if he doesn't want to change his way, and I got in trouble for saying this, pray Psalm 109 verse 8. That says, may his days be few and may another take his place. Because that's what I'm hoping for. Because he should not have been reelected. That's one thing I want to tell you. On the RNC, they are doing some things different. And I got to talk about this just a minute. You're going to get your walking list earlier. You're going to have some talking points earlier. We're going to have 12 centers open by the end of July. That's good. How did we get beat? Obama won, if you look at the national popular vote, by 3 million votes. How many Republicans do you think sat home the last election?
6.
3 million. Just the amount we needed. They sat home and didn't vote. So it was apathy on our part. Another thing is Obama never stopped campaigning. He had $85 million left and he just campaigning through the whole presidency that he had. And another thing he learned. How many here got Facebook?
Oh, come on.
How many got Facebook here? Okay, here's what he learned. If one person did a nice positive thing about Obama on Facebook, it's shared on average 5 times. So that's 6. So Obama got 1 million people to share things on Facebook. And he got 5 million shares. And when you get 6 million good things said about Obama, he got 1 million more votes. Think of that. So the media is against us. But we can use the modern technology for us. We got the press against us. We got the schools against us. But we can still win. Don't give up. Hang in there. Anything I can do to help, please call me. You got my number. You got my cards there on the table. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and I'll be around here to talk. Thanks.